Hello and welcome everyone to episode 31 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined once again by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing pretty good. As you all know, I'm the English letterer for manga like Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8 and many, many more. One fun thing is that we talked about this a few episodes ago. You know, the One Piece manga went on break in preparation for like the final saga, and it will be back. I think by the time this episode comes out, it's like the Sunday after we're recording this right now. So I haven't been spoiled on anything. I don't know what I'm ready. I'm ready for it to come back. I've definitely had some friends go through like withdrawal symptoms of a whole month without the manga.
I always see something related to One Piece trending for myself now, and I'm like, nope,
Every
that's a trap.
time. Yeah, that is a trap. It's a trap for me, and I'm caught up.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
I mean, because somehow those chapters leak, and it's like, well, here you go. Here's the scans. Yeah. Here's what's coming.
Right. Yeah. It's just getting worse and worse.
Why would you want to do that to yourself?
It's a whole mess. People are impatient. It's not great.
It's sad, but hopefully our listeners are patient, because I say each and every week, but unfortunately I have to take a trip the first week of August, which means I will not be able to edit the episode that is supposed to release on the 8th. So that'll be episode 32, and we'll have to go take just a short week break just because I'll need time to actually edit it together, but I will be away. So I can't do it, and we don't have that buffer anymore. I didn't have time to build a buffer because I've been working on a Zeno series retrospective for my main job over at Good Vibes Gaming, and that has been taking up pretty much all my waking time, other than doing a little bit of editing for One Piece that I can manage to fit in, because again, this is so much fun. So apologies for that I will have to take a week off there, but only that week. We'll be right back, and honestly, pretty good spot to have that break happen, because we finish up Wapol. Drum Island arc is over as of this set of chapters.
Yeah, finishing, taking a break at the end of an arc. Honestly, maybe something we could get used to. But if you're a One Piece fan and you've been caught up at any point in the past 8 years, you probably should be used to taking a week break.
Yeah, it makes sense. But, we got to keep that consistent. We can't let Oda get ahead.
Exactly, yeah. We've already closed the gap by 4 weeks. Come on.
I mean, we're talking about catching up to Oda, but he won't be finished by the time we do catch up. So
yeah. Oh man, who knows?
This just gives us more time.
Yeah.
But in that meantime, let's go ahead and talk about this set of chapters, because there's some really good stuff in here. You want to talk about some wrap up? This does the job, and it all begins with chapter 151, "The Skies of Drum," where Django's dance heaven has been invaded by Captain Eureka's tulip pirates.
Yeah, now having read, the 5 chapters for this podcast, this cover story makes sense. When I was first reading it, I was like, what the heck is going on? That really is, yeah.
I'm still kind of like that, because I feel like after this set, I can reveal the whole what they did for Django for that one short that played in front of a movie, where he's on the run from the Marines and is trying to get away, but it involves a completely unique Marine captain, and Django tries to
full body.
Yeah, it's not full body, and Django tries to save himself by hypnotizing him, but it reflects off a giant disco ball that's hanging above the city.
What?
And it proceeds to hypnotize the entire city to dance until the night is over.
That's kind of incredible. And you know what? The kind of failing upwards that I'm really proud of him. I'm really proud of him for pulling that off.
Yeah. So yeah, Django escapes, and I'm like, okay, well, did they just adapt this story for that? And no, at this point I can definitively say they used the setting kind of.
Okay, yeah, but they managed to do their own thing with it.
Yeah. I also like getting to see a little bit more of East Blue's pirates and how they are generally weak, and I can kind of see how they're generally weak.
Yeah, these guys are goofy.
Yeah, I do love the tulips on their heads and just the hairstyle of Captain Eureka.
That's a dress code right there.
It's like, okay, I'm not sure how you came up with that, but good for you. Good for you, man.
Sure, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let's get into the chapter itself as we see that, yes, this remaining rope was set up next to Dr. Correa's old house. And nobody really thought to check it out, apparently. And everybody squeezes onto this thing. I'd feel a little dangerous if they're like it's slowing down. I'm like,
seriously,
I don't know if I'd pile on like that, but sure, why not? It gives us a chance for Dalton to reflect, really. That's the big thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, we kind of got this nice little sort of like internal flashback of just it's like all of my life choices serving this lunatic who is Wapol.
Yeah. And I gotta say, Wapol does look threatening when you see him having defeated Dalton. You know, Dalton's bloodied on the ground. And Wapol's definitely a lot more decked out. He has tank treads. He has the 2 cannon arms. He has a spear on his head. He has 2 smaller cannons jutting out from his head. He has axes on his shoulders. That is a more threatening Wapol.
Yeah, I think to most normal people, Wapol would be... I understand the sort of like, nobody did anything about this guy because nobody could. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, even though he's, you know, just... compared to the Straw Hat Pirates, you know, he's a complete joke, but I definitely understand, as maybe sort of like frustrating as it might be to think about, like, man, you guys let this guy take over for, you know, like 6 years, more than 6 years, and you didn't do, you know, anything to stand up to him, but you kind of, through I think Dalton's perspective, who's probably one of the strongest folks, seeing him get kind of beat up.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It makes sense why nobody did anything.
And it does kind of show that maybe Wapol would have been a threat if he'd been able to get into the armory and actually eat everything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know, but it's one of those things where you just, like, he's, again, taunting, you know, who's the stupid one now? And tosses him in a cell. Just, God, those smiles he have, they still find a way to just make him slimy as ever. And then him just getting... tortured just basically by
hateable
Chess and Merrymo.
Yep. I definitely I think I mentioned last week that this is kind of like a character archetype, that the kind of like the gross punchable face, just completely irredeemable type of villain, and that is definitely like this kind of stuff. We see it a lot later as well with other villains of a similar type, but you know, as much as I think Wapol is kind of like an ineffective version of that, it is sort of interesting to see the seeds, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's Dalton just reaffirming his thought is like, who cares about status? Who cares about the king? Meanwhile, switch over to Luffy having a firm grip on Wapol's face.
I love the contrast between just Luffy grabbing his face and then just like the cute little snowbirds, like, you know, coming out of the cannon. It's just adorable.
That's a wonderful little thing, but also Wapol brings up a very good point that I did not think about.
Yeah, calling
Luffy an idiot because the Drum Kingdom is a member of the world government and he's committed an international crime. Like, he is definitely considering himself an enemy of the world government at this point, even though Wapol is crap. You know how governments will still don't care. Like, how dare you attack this guy? Mm-hmm. But Luffy doesn't care. He's going to beat him up.
I'm going to beat you up.
And Wapol, again, trying to be terrifying with that wide open mouth. But Luffy's ready, stretching out his fingers, which is just wild.
It's such a wild imagery, just Wapol's giant mouth and just Luffy's fingers kind of stretching out. Mm-hmm. It is sort of a cool... My power was the exact thing to counter yours in this situation. That is until Wapol just kind of pulls out a cannon out of his tongue with an actual tongue cannon.
Which is just weird, but you know that would catch you off guard. And we see the blast while Chopper just sort of stares up at the sky, and we don't see the outcome right away because we get even more flashbacks from Dalton, and we even get a little clip of the doctor hunt, where they're literally dragging a doctor away from his patient to throw him into the ocean. Throw him into the ocean. If he resists, kill him. What the hell?
I think it was really important to show that Dalton, despite existing in this corrupt system, like he regrets that, you know. That is... He sort of like, you know, at the end here, he's realizing like all of the horrible things that sort of like happened under his tenure. And I think while I don't know if I want to go as far as to say like maybe the ways in which, like, because Dalton here on the next page, he's like, what's so wrong about wanting your country to have a heart? I think maybe sort of like the grander themes of like corruption, you really only see it through Wapol and his two lackeys. And so I can sort of understand that there wasn't really a whole lot of time to establish maybe in all of the other ways. Like, we're just kind of seeing the corruption at the top and maybe not the grander ways in which, like, the country is corrupt.
Right. It's
what was my point with this?
I mean,
I think
there's a lot of people under Wapol that were followed along with this, I think is where you're getting at.
Exactly.
Because we don't see the soldiers' perspectives or anything like that, because Dalton's own men turned on him. We can maybe guess from the doctors and how they turned back to, like, how it saved Dalton, or like they did it under duress because of Wapol, but how much should you forgive that? But again, it's not something, this does not go into it at all.
I think it's crucial that we have this at all. Like, I kind of wasn't expecting that we would get this.
No, I completely forgot about these elements.
So it feels sort of like a backhanded compliment to be like, oh, good job, but now that I'm sort of seeing this play out, I like how this is handled, maybe sort of while understanding that there wasn't a whole, like, this isn't what the whole arc is about. And so no. I'm mostly okay with the fact that Oda didn't really spend a whole lot of time on it, and I think this is sort of the best way he could have maybe sort of like resolved those feelings that through Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton's sort of the representation of that, the one man who resisted and gave strength to the other people, and he is certainly committed. I mean, he has those little flashbacks to young Vivi and Hero Luke, and I don't know why, but this look that Usopp gives him, I feel like that does so much for Usopp's character, just watching him and sort of getting again another taste of bravery.
Yeah, like I said, Usopp loves heroes, and he loves heroism, as we saw sort of with the last episode on the podcast. So I definitely just that sort of look that Usopp gives him, I think, is sort of enough. Just like he's paying attention, and he kind of, I think, can infer what he's going through.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Although Don's really ready to just go all out. He's strapped with dynamite.
He's ready for a fight. He's back in heat.
The thing is, I don't know if that would actually do anything to Wapol, because I feel like he would just eat Dalton and take the dynamite.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's worth a shot. So
I guess.
I don't know. I appreciate that Dalton's ready to die for it.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what? Just screw it. We're going in.
Yep, let's do it. And we go back to the castle, and of course, Wapol's laughing about how much Luffy let down his guard, and he's a fool. And Luffy just appears behind him. He's like, nope.
He teleports behind you. Oh,
you're the fool, and just does this new technique where he wraps himself up
like what's that candy?
A fruit roll-up?
It's like a fruit roll-up. Yeah. That's what I thought of when I saw this attack from Luffy.
Yeah.
He's just sort of
the Gum Gum bow gun that just launches Wapol straight into the roof.
I don't know how it's supposed to be a bow gun, but it's hilarious and rad.
Yeah, just that sheer force that knocks him into that forces him to look at Hero Luke's flag.
I loved that. Just sort of like, look at what you've done.
And Luffy just, again, getting that last idea is like, hey, if you're not willing to put your life on the line, don't touch the skull and crossbones. And probably the biggest Gum Gum Bazooka we've ever seen. The perspective on that, where he's basically reaching out over the town to the point that it's echoing.
Oh, well, I didn't even realize that's what that was.
Yeah, all those Gum Gums. I'm assuming those are all echoes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He is. Yeah,
I had thought about, like, because he finished off Buggy in a similar way, but like the scale of this one is just, oh man. That's great. And I love that one-liner from Kureha at the bottom. The king is lost to the skull and crossbones. Just laughing to herself.
And that's it. Wapol's offering all these titles to Luffy. Does not care. And we get that bazooka. And Wapol is gone.
He's done. What? Oh, just so satisfying.
Yes.
After complaining about this dude for the last 4 episodes on the podcast. Just see ya. God, finally.
He is done. Goodbye, Wapol.
Woo!
Great, satisfying chapter. I like that Dalton
good.
had a little bit more depth to it than we would have otherwise, because there's not much to that fight left. A dodge a cannon tongue and launch them.
Yeah. I do wonder how Luffy actually got behind him. It was just one of those things that's just like, oh, okay, he missed. Yeah, that's fine. He dodged.
Yeah, I think it really was just he dodged in time, and Wapol was just like convinced. Oh, he got blown away. That's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, if we look at the total amount of time that Luffy actually fought Wapol for this whole showdown set of chapters, I think it's maybe 3. Like the 2 that we had, like this one, the last one, and then that first little scuffle when Luffy just came in and decked him.
Yeah, it's really. I had thought about like, man, how come I really didn't remember a lot about this arc, because it just like as satisfying as it is to just finally see Wapol get his due, it is kind of like over before it starts, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think the actual fight is not the thing about the story arc that stands out in my mind.
No.
And that's okay. That doesn't have to be everything.
Yeah, it's a nice way to change up the pacing of these arcs, so they don't all blend together as the same thing. Yeah, I appreciate it from that aspect.
I mean, we were talking about it before, how it kind of feels like a side quest.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, it really. I think that finale really sort of like cements that.
It does, but then there's stuff in these wrap up chapters that makes it sort of like, oh, that side quest was more important than we thought.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out on the lore drops in the side quest.
No, that's for sure. Let's get to maybe some of those lore drops as we reach chapter 152, Full Moon, as we get another wonderful old color spread. Obviously it's not color now, but this thing deserves to be hung up in a library. All the characters
it's so great.
Reading, Zoro with a weight, this weight on top of his book. Luffy eating with the glasses.
I think the big dog and is that a duck kind of
some sort of bird,
some kind of bird.
Drawing Usopp.
Yeah, I think those like show up in one of the anime openings is just like basically a whole smorgasbord of these like color spreads mushed together and animated.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that the Usopp trying to draw, I think might be part of that too. It's been a little bit. I don't remember. I definitely recognize the dog though.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I saw this like, man, this needs to be in a library.
it's so cozy. I love these.
Getting into the chapter itself, the transportation arrives. I'm blanking on the actual name of it, but whatever. Everybody arrives at the top where the castle awaits. And
I love that they get there, and of course Usopp is like trying to push Zoro ahead, but is also just like, I'm not scared. but then like as soon as they arrive, it's just Luffy screaming. He crashes right into them.
It's like, oh no, there's more of them, and just takes out Usopp.
Yep.
Oh gosh, and
Usopp doesn't miss a beat though, because like I mean Luffy and Zoro kind of have like this whole conversation, and Vivi kind of like, like, oh, is everybody okay? Well, like in the background, like Usopp is trying like as soon like immediately after he gets knocked down, he's right back up like, oh yeah, I took care of everything.
Mm-hmm. I was like, I thought you couldn't climb. It's like, oh no, I could totally climb like a mountain goat. And the climb is a real adventure. Just crafts his whole story.
I love that the word balloons kind of start cutting him off.
Yeah, like nobody's really paying attention.
Further and further into the background. It's just it's a great little scene.
Yeah, and that's when Luffy confirms that, hey, yeah, I already took care of him. He's already gone.
Yeah. We've solved the problem.
And they're like, what about the other two? Oh yeah, the reindeer took care of them. And I love Dalton's shocked face when he sees.
He doesn't do those faces very often. He's a very serious character.
Yeah, but so to see that look as he checks out, sees Chopper hiding, is really good.
Man, Dalton's got an incredible memory.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, this was 6 whole years ago, and he's just like, oh yeah, I remember you. You looked completely different, but the blue nose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would remember fighting a reindeer man or a man reindeer.
That is true. Yeah.
So there is that. But I love that. He just like, thank you for this. He just thanks all of them for that. But of course, as the other people show up, and of course, as Usopp sees him, everybody freaks out. It's like, weird creature, monster, and
Yep. Oh, which of course he runs off immediately.
yeah, and Luffy's like,
Luffy giving him the old smack.
that's my new mate. He scared him off. He's got to go chase after him again.
Yep.
But of course, time for Correa to arrive.
Her antics are just the best, especially in this chunk of chapters.
Yeah, Sanji and Nami are trying to escape. And just like, no, we don't want to wait. And it's like, my back is still hurt and all that. And she just busts down a wall.
Kicks it down.
Like, get back to the infirmary.
And then on the next page is like you see, a whole bunch of like screaming and snap, crack sound effects. And then the next panel, you just see Sanji knocked out, tied down.
He's like on a torture device.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. And yeah, there's Dalton all bandaged up thanks to Correa. And she's asking about the key to the weapons. And it's like, no, don't have it. Wap always kept it on himself. And is like, well, that's a problem. And the time for Nami to start negotiating. It's like,
yeah, I love this interaction between these two.
It's amazing how well these two play off each other.
Yeah.
Like, Nami actually seems capable of mostly handling Correa.
Yeah, they're both kind of characters who are very, very confident in what they want and kind of know that they can play each other to get what they want.
Yeah. And she's like, hey, for waiving the fee for treating our crew and releasing immediately, I can give you the key. It's like, oh, that's silly. Besides, I'll be taking all the goods and treasure on your ship as payment, and you still have to stay for 2 days. It's like, oh, you mean this key you want? It's like, you've got a lot of guts bargaining with me. It's like,
I love their faces, just that grin from both of them.
It's so good. It's like, fine, your account is paid, but you can't go home early, so tough luck. And again, the interaction's just so good. It's like, hey, listen, I'm going downstairs for a while. My coat is in the drawer in the back room. I don't have any guards posted, and the boy with the broken back's treatment is complete. Don't try to sneak away. All you others, come with me. And they're like, boy, that's really obvious. It's like, hey, take my coat and get out of here.
Yep.
And Luffy's still calling after Chopper. Is like, hey, let's be pirates together. And like, hey, he doesn't want to be a pirate. You're wrong. I'm bringing him with us. It's like against his will.
Yeah. Not to spoil a gag from I think like the next chapter or maybe the one after that. But in hindsight, I love Luffy's going through all of this. He has no idea Chopper's a doctor.
I know. He's just
he's so committed to the bit. Yeah, he's just like, I want you because because what was it like? Yeah, we're getting into it way later, but I just love that.
Yeah. Also, I love the small little detail of Usopp building another snowman in the background as they're waiting.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a long time. I mean, yeah. Chopper says it's already dark. He's running around.
And he finally shows up in front of Luffy. Like he wants to be a pirate, but he can't. He's like, I'm not. It's impossible. I'm grateful, but I'm a reindeer. I'm weird. I have antlers and hooves and a blue nose. I want to be a pirate, but I'm not human. I'm a monster, so I can't be part of your group. So thank you. Please come back, but I can't go with you. And all Luffy says is just shut up and come with us.
I love it. Oh, the goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's just all these excuses. I love these. I feel like we see this every now and again when we try to get somebody to join the crew, and they're sort of like, Chopper's got excuses. There's like, well, okay, but, and then Luffy's just like, none of that matters. Yeah, just shut up and come along.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't care how many times I see it. It makes me tear up every time.
Yeah. It's so good. And it had the proper timing of Vivi and Nami dragging Sanji out by the legs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the... Sanji's
poor Sanji gets so mistreated.
Yeah. He's really going through it this arc.
Oh, yeah, he is. But yeah, that's it for that chapter. It's, again, just such a great end to confirm that, like, oh yeah, Chopper's definitely part of the crew at this point.
Yeah. This might be one of my favorite, like, falling action sort of, like, arc wrap-ups.
Yes.
That we've seen so far.
It absolutely is. It is the best falling action wrap-up that we've had up to this point.
Yeah.
And I think it's because There's a full 3 chapters dedicated to this fallout.
Yeah, exactly.
It wraps up everything very nicely. It feels like it takes its time. Like it doesn't have to rush. Like we need to get to the next thing. It's like no, you can take your time. But yeah, chapter 153, Hero Luke's Cherry Blossoms. And yeah, as the pirates are invading the town and the Marines are trying to fight them off and the citizens are running away, Django's just like, oh, hey, cool. What luck. I can get out of here without any issue.
It's fun now in context of why the Tulip Pirates showed up. And it's just Django sort of finding it out.
Yeah, it's like, cool. I am gone.
And what luck.
Fun stuff there. I am really enjoying Django's story.
Yeah, this has been really, really fun. Mm-hmm. I feel like Oda's really kind of he's finding his groove with these cover stories, and it feels like there's either, even if not necessarily every cover story moves it along, they're all like fun or funny, or they have some sort of like interesting detail to them. It's definitely been a lot better paced than Kobe and Helmeppo's.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he might have realized that, okay, we need to play into the humor more so.
Yeah. There's no crazy sort of like crazy lore drops or like, some kind of like whatever, Django found or something, you know what I mean? Like, but even despite that, it is still really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We come back and the Straw Hats are all waiting outside as Chopper is going in to say goodbye to Kureha, and they're all just sort of hanging out. They'll be going down and ready to make their way to Alabasta. And here's the beginning of your little joke. It was like, yeah, especially since we'll have a doctor. And Luke's just like, doctor?
Like, doctor? Yeah. What? God, they got a surprising chuckle out of me because that was all it took for me to go like, oh my God, he didn't know.
No, yeah, he has no idea that Chopper's a doctor.
I hadn't thought about it at all. And then I just like, oh my God, of course.
And of course, Kureha returns to the room, finds Dalton, but nobody else. And she's like, oh, hey, even Dalton's like, they disobeyed your orders.
Yeah, takes a swig.
And that's when Chopper shows up and it's like, I need to talk to you. It's like, oh yeah, go help haul out the accountants. But it's like, no, I'm going to go with them. What? Don't talk nonsense. You're my only assistant.
Where have I seen this before?
Yeah, it's like, boy, that does, now that you mention it, that really is similar to, I'm blanking his name, Zeph.
I was thinking Hero looked in the flashback, but Zeph too, yeah.
Yeah. Poor Chopper's just trying to explain. It's like, yeah, I'm very grateful to you and Hero Luke, and I love this place, but I want to go. It's just like, but the pirates are worthless. I don't care. It's like, it's nice to see him standing up for himself.
Again, thinking about this exact same scene with Hero Luke in the flashback, it is kind of like effective in showing how Chopper has grown, especially now through not just the influence of Luffy, but you could probably also argue Kureha has influence as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he had to have gotten a stubborn streak after being with her for how long. And I like this idea. It's like, yeah, that's right, I am a reindeer, but I'm also a man too. And that definitely gets her. It's like, well, good for you, but I won't allow it. And just starts chucking knives at him.
Of course. And then starts chucking knives at everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a hilarious
all the people who are
scene.
trying to help unload the cannons.
Yeah. And the cannons, I just realized, kind of look like champagne bottles.
Yeah, they do, don't they? I wonder if that's because Wappo drank them.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know anything about that.
I also love how, for once, it's the Straw Hats being calm outside while all the insanity goes on inside.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because they're all just kind of like, huh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
That's usually our fault.
Chopper grabs the sleigh, goes into his reindeer form, and it's like, what will you accomplish by going to sea? Are you going to chase your silly dreams like that old quack? He's like, they're not silly. His research was completed, and it's like, all right, everybody, get in. We're going down the mountain, and everybody just.
There's no such thing as like people normally leaving an island in One Piece. There always has to be some kind of like, all right, we gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
and I love this 2-page spread of them going down the mountain. Everybody barely hanging on. Luffy in the back.
I have words. If you're caught up, you know what I mean. That's all I'll say.
I know nothing about that. But that's...
Yeah, and that is something I didn't think about that reading it for the podcast, but just popped into my head right now.
Oh wow!
But yeah, if you know, you know.
Yeah. But I also love this, just that showing Kreia calm as he goes,
Yeah.
and it's just like, dang it, Kreia, especially because there's the continued chaos of them all just like panicking. That was fun. Let's do it again. We have to set sail.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And hey, Sanji's awake now. It's like, where are we?
Oh yeah, he was out for all of that.
Yeah, I like the how it compares, just like that insanity to a very calm Kreia, and Dalton just approaching her is like, this is what you want. It's like, he's just a stray that got adopted. I don't like tearful farewells. And again, to see Kreia
cry, seeing her just holding back tears. It's
it's so sweet.
Yeah, again, definitely parallels to the Hero Look flashback. Of just, I sympathize with these like extremely flawed characters who like have a very unique way of showing that they care.
Yeah,
very flawed.
Such the case with these two
way.
doctors.
Yeah, of showing that they care.
And as Chopper runs away, he's just thinking back to Hero Luke, and like he was so convinced that he could finish his research, but like, did it actually happen? Was it actually the truth? And that's when Kreia has them fire the cannon straight up.
I hadn't thought about it again the first time reading this set of chapters. Like, she was setting this up the whole time. Like, this is what she was getting all of like the villagers getting the cannons ready for.
And
So
she would have done it much sooner, but couldn't because she didn't have the key.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. She kind of needed Wapol to return in order to get that key, and this provided the opportunity. And I do like, it makes sense that everybody's like, oh god, it's a cannon barrage, run.
Right, yeah.
Take
Like,
cover.
oh, not again.
And then they light it up, and you got the Lappins looking, you got the villagers looking, you got Chopper and the Straw Hats looking, and they just look up and see the snow, and I just like, it's like a dream. What wonders fools can create. We've learned that what he was trying to do all this time was that this red powder, when comes into contact with white snow in the atmosphere, brilliant pink snowflakes will fall. And just that, like even happening now, just that wailing from Chopper, God, brings tears to my eyes, and just see the pseudo cherry blossom tree.
Yeah, I kind of didn't expect this to come full circle in the way that it did. I had kind of accepted that, like, whatever, like, and I sort of remembered that, like, what Hero Luke was trying to do in the flashback was sort of like kind of the final piece to the puzzle, but I had completely forgotten how it sort of comes back here at the end to, like, the, again, really feeling full circle, like, he achieved his dream, finally through.
Yeah. He had
like,
done it.
When you think about it,
he had done it. He just couldn't see the ultimate effects, and to mass produce this like Kreia did to really show this. And the only, like, you get the effect, but man, it suffers so much from being black and white.
Yeah, this would hit so much harder in color.
And the anime, it does. Anime, like, it has that pink.
I'm gonna have to
and
go
it
check that
shows
scene.
It really does a fantastic job of showing that, because I remember just being wowed by it when I first watched it. So if you have a way of checking out the anime, absolutely see that episode, because man.
Yeah, what a twist too, because he was talking about, like, trying to get flowers to grow here, and so I took Hero Luke completely literally in that moment, not knowing that, like, this is what he was actually trying to do.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of brilliant.
It's such a wonderful twist too. Oh man, again, it really feels like just really effective storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. There is an SBS, not too much to say about it, other than, like, somebody noticed how Dalton loves to add in extra stuff that's really
it doesn't really matter.
Necessary.
Yeah. That's a cute little gimmick. I hadn't thought about that.
I didn't even realize it. It's just like it's a lakeside town just north of here. They also like to ice skate there. But yes, chapter 154, which is my personal favorite of these set of chapters, I gotta say.
Oh boy.
On to Alabasta. The final
boy.
chapter of the Drum Island arc.
Yeah, this and 155 I think are great.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Django's
right.
Dance Heaven Volume 22, the mighty captain of the Navy's main fleet. We get to see Iron Body actually be effective. Holy crap.
You kind of forget. Yeah, it's like, oh, right, he's a captain.
Right.
And he's out here just completely just like whooping butt.
Yeah, he's on the same level as Smoker. He doesn't have a devil fruit or anything, but hey, he's still actually kind of strong.
It's so weird seeing him competent.
Yeah. You're so not used to that because Sanji took him out so easily.
Yeah, wow.
And then just this opening narration as they sail off. In time, the tale of Hero Luke's cherry blossoms shining in the night would become a symbol of this nameless nation's hard-won freedom. But the birth of a new country with its unusual flag is a story for another time. And it just makes me think, is it a story for another time? Like, does this come back? Obviously, don't tell me, but I'm like, oh my God.
I'm not sure. I want to say yes, but that I'm really not sure. And
I could see
I can't
Oda
say with
having like the final chapter, but then there being like 6, 7, 8 chapters of wrap up where they show what each place they visited is up to now after their influence. Like once it all comes to an end, you know?
Yeah. Well, we see that every now and again, actually, within the story itself. But yeah, the ways in which I guess the now nameless nation, the ways in which it comes back into the story, I'm a little foggy on. So yeah. I'm gonna have to take Oda at his word when he says it is a story for another time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But as they leave, Dalton and Correa sit together and just sort of talk, and they're just sort of marveling at it. It's like a reindeer continuing the legacy of a great physician. And she's like, well, I guess if Hero Luke could actually bring cherry blossoms to this place, then I suppose a reindeer can become a pirate. And just liking the idea that he thinks he's a man.
She's such a proud mom.
Yeah, she is. It's so cute. But then all of a sudden, the other villagers come in, and it's like, hey, I just remembered something important. Look at this. And hey, turns out there's a bounty of 30 million on Luffy's head. Correa's just like, wow, that is impressive. And it turns out, about a week ago, a traveler appeared in Roblo Town. And it didn't snow that day, which we have seen it. It basically snows.
That is an interesting detail.
Yeah, it is. And all he says is that this man is pursuing Blackbeard, the pirate that had ravaged him and scared off Wapol. And it's like, well, we told him that Blackbeard was long gone. And he was like, okay, well, was there a pirate in a straw hat that came through here? It's like, no. So he gave me the poster and just said, hey, if he shows up, I'll tell him I'll be waiting in Alabasta for 10 days. Mm-hmm. All we know is that his name is Ace. And if Luffy shows up, just tell him what I said. He'll understand.
So there's somebody in Alabasta waiting for Luffy.
Yeah, somebody named Ace. But then he has to run off because he didn't pay for his food.
He didn't pay for his food, of course. Yep. You can't look cool for... You gotta have some subversion for it.
Something going on.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this guy looks impossibly cool. Oh, okay,
yeah, it's such an interesting design because when I first saw it, I honestly thought I was like, wait, was that Mahawk?
Yeah,
he kind of looks like his figure is like almost a combination of Mahawk and Shanks.
Yeah. I just off of that first silhouette, like until we saw it closer, I was like, oh, was was Shanks here? I don't remember that, but okay, yeah. knowing now that it was Ace, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
This man named Ace.
Cool little detail. Keep that in the back of your head that he said he was pursuing Blackbeard. Who, I love that we kind of have like this story going on in the background where Blackbeard was here, and now we have this Ace character who was chasing after him, but was also like, oh, is Luffy here? Have you seen this guy?
Yeah, it's so odd. It's again some subtle world building going on, but hey, you want to get some more out there world building? Yeah. No, let's take care of all the subtlety. Throw that out the window.
Yes,
because all they says, no need to pass it on because they're headed for Alabasta. Just a hunch. He's like, okay, that girl was definitely Vivi. I don't know why you're with
what
pirates,
an incredible memory.
Yeah, I mean, this was the girl that kind of changed his worldview. I guess he would remember. I'm more willing to accept that one. He also knows these little details, like they like the ice skate. She likes pickled plums. He just knows these little details.
That's true. You know what? Oda set this up. You know what? I can believe that.
Yeah, I like that. Technically, Correa never heard Luffy's full name.
Yeah,
and all she says now is, "Have you ever heard of Goal D, Roger?" D. You mean Gold Roger?
Gold Roger.
There's not a soul in the world who hasn't heard of him. Is that what he's called now?
He's called now.
I got freaking chills because I forgot.
I forgot that was here. I was wondering when that reveal was. So the actual reveal, because I specifically remember on the next page where Correa says, "So the will of D lives on."
Yes.
And I remember that specifically as our first mention of the will of D. But the fact that it was tied to the reveal that Gold Roger is not his real name.
Yeah, it's
his real
Gold
name is
D.
Gold
Roger.
Yes. And so that means that is this is the first time, we're seeing that there's another character with the same D middle name.
Yeah.
As Luffy.
Because it just seems like up until this point, it just seems like a detail. It's like, whatever. It doesn't matter.
It's Monkey
It's
D.
just
Luffy. It doesn't
Monkey
mean
D.
anything.
Luffy. Yeah, that's just his name. Whatever. And all of a sudden, this Will of D comes up, and you're like, what?
What is that?
Literal chills reading that page.
I'll go ahead and throw this out right here. I'm caught up. What does that mean? I don't know.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
That won't be, obviously, that won't be the last time we're going to hear that phrase. And it seems like it is going to be a crucial key part to the world of One Piece going forward. But yeah, that is one of those like ongoing lore mysteries that we still don't know. But it's just the crazy part that it was introduced here, chapter 154.
It's just amazing how some of these things, how early some of these things were introduced. You just
seriously
kind of forget, you don't realize anymore.
Once we learn all of the answers, seeing when and where Oda starts to drop the little hints is just going to be like, oh man.
Yeah.
So I kind of can't wait to go back through this manga again with the entirety full context.
Then we're finally back with the Straw Hats. That's it for Drum Island, as
they're all being goofballs.
Yep, time for a party. They're hanging out, making silly faces, pouring drinks for each other. Usopp's trying to get Chopper to drink, and meanwhile Nami's yelling at him. He's like, "Can't you show a little sympathy for them? Why? Karu's alive. What's the big deal?" Which I completely forgot.
Yeah, I was like, Karu's gone this whole arc.
He was frozen in the river the entire time.
I actually went after Zoro.
Zoro just like, hey, probably slipped, huh? Clumsy, and just laughed.
Yep, Nami
Shut up,
him.
Mr. Bushido. And that's when we learned that Chopper can talk to animals. He said that says that Zoro was swimming in the river and he disappeared, so he dove in to save him and got frozen.
Yes. Now, this is definitely a gimmick of Chopper's that I think kind of gets a little played out, but right here when Nami is just like, that's amazing, medicine's not your only talent, and he's just like, I'm immune to your flattery, while he's just living it up completely.
Just dancing along. And that's when Sanji's like, what's this about medicine? He's like, oh wait, he's a doctor?
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't know? He's like, then what was it about Chopper that impressed you so much? He's a reindeer that can do 7 transformations and an emergency food supply.
Of course. Which, again, that is also something I think we see more and more with Luffy. He, like, if he comes across a character with an interesting gimmick, he's just like, I want that.
Yeah. That doesn't matter if they have other skills. It's just, I like the gimmick.
Yeah, come on.
That's when Chopper realizes, oh crap, I came down the mountain so quickly, I forgot my medical supplies. And that's when Nami reveals, oh hey, you mean this? It was on the sleigh.
Yep.
And
she cared.
Correa cared. He was thinking all along. She's a good person. Just again, that show of love.
Yep.
Only to be interrupted by Luffy and Usopp doing more of the weird nose toothpick thing,
and then Chopper gets in on it. It's like he's just like impressionable little brother.
He really is. He's like, the big brothers are doing this thing, I want to do it too. And it's like, well, he is going to be completely ruined.
This poor child is getting corrupted.
Yep, absolutely. And again, back into full party mode, and
I love this. It's just Chopper here at the bottom saying it's the most fun he's ever had. It just warms my heart.
Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, I love seeing these goofballs just celebrate.
Those cheering scenes where they're just like those little details and the scenes. It's just so much fun.
Yep.
And off they go to Alabasta, But as the manga says, backtracking a bit, we go back to
here we go.
Little Garden, as it's finally time to meet Mr. 2 Bon Clay.
Yes, we got a little tease before this arc started. We're finally coming back to that, so we got a whole can of worms to open here.
Yep, I completely again forgot about this.
Yeah.
So here he is, Mr. 2 Bon Clay, a follower of the "Oh Come My Way" lifestyle, which is one of those things that got brought up in the SBS, and I forget what exactly the SBS and what "Oh Come My Way" stands for, but I believe you still remember.
Yes. Okay. So this is one of those like funky translation things, and I think the way that they handled this is brilliant and is sort of like just sidestepping the can of worms that this kind of is. All right. So we have here, we have the reveal of Mr. 2 Bon Clay, and he's here kind of in a ballet-ish kind of uniform, very very feminine, but also kind of very just crazy looking.
Yeah, I mean, he has the hairy legs, he has the makeup and all that stuff. It is what it is.
Yeah, and he's got some Japanese just sort of written on the back of his coat, and the way, I guess a literal translation could be like the way of the Okama. And so that is what he sort of Bon Clay sort of self-identifies is as an Okama, which is kind of like I kind of want to call it like a sort of classical like transvestite stereotype.
Is it akin to like a drag queen, or more in line with?
Yeah, I think so. That kind of in that ballpark.
Rocky Horror, where it's like
transsexual
transvestite from Transylvania type thing.
Yeah, like and there's a much more overt Rocky Horror reference much later.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. That'll be fun to get to, because
but so consider that in Rocky Horror kind of like the ballpark of what this like stereotype is kind of evoking. And so because that this is kind of, it's definitely kind of lost favor. It used to show up in Japanese media a whole bunch, but is kind of like potentially offensive. Maybe not the best look. And you have to remember that this content is from like, we're in like 2001, 2002, maybe
something like that. And
so it hadn't quite fallen out of favor here at this point.
And it hasn't quite hit. It's like, oh, right, international audience. And when Japan sort of had to realize they had to start paying attention to this sort of thing to make it more viable for a worldwide release.
Exactly. And so the brilliance of the "Oh Come My Way" translation is that it is sort of like, if you take the translation "Okama way," they kind of morphed it into "Oh Come My Way."
That's good.
Yeah. And I think it still conveys the vibe without being quite so maybe icky.
Yeah.
So I think it is one of those translation choices that I think has aged really well.
And I gotta say, very, very slight spoilers. I love Bon Clay.
Oh yeah,
he is a fantastic character.
Bon Clay is awesome. And I think that is sort of maybe, whenever One Piece does sort of veer into maybe poorly aged like Japanese media stereotypes, is that like the characters themselves, and I think the ways that in which they are handled in the story is often like brilliant. Like Bon Clay is a very, very beloved character. Definitely a huge favorite of mine, but also kind of mired in something that is a bit like maybe a little unfortunate.
Obviously this is from extremely recent stuff as of right now, because I'm not caught up, but it's hard to miss some things with One Piece, such as beloved new characters.
Oh yes,
a certain character is everywhere. I cannot not know who this character is. It's the same sort of idea as the bunny girl from My Hero Academia. She still hasn't really shown why she's so beloved, other than a great character design in the anime that I've watched at this point. But I know people love her, and I was well aware of her before she even made her first appearance in the anime, just because of that following out there. And then a big thing happened with that character that sort of is very progressive.
Yeah. That is a whole other can of worms that I don't want to get into.
We'll get into that when we get to
in
that.
chapter like 1000.
Yeah.
But the long and short of it is that especially I think when you consider maybe the history that like One Piece has with sort of Okama stereotypes and sort of Rocky Horror transvestite-ish stereotypes. You kind of look at the character that we're referring to in the modern material and are just kind of like, all right, what is he gonna do with this? But the end result ends up just being great.
Yeah.
And is again, the way Oda handles that one is awesome. I think the way Oda handles characters like Bon Clay is mostly great, but is just there is this sort of kind of like unfortunate side of like what he's pulling from is kind of like, ugh.
This sort of stereotype is why ostensibly Mother 3 was never able to be translated.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good example.
It's because it does. I've not played Mother 3, so I don't know how they're handled in there. But it's
I've heard, it's one of those like, again, and I think Mother 3 is sort of a good example of like this is not just a thing that One Piece does. It was for a time a really popular trope in Japanese media. Mm-hmm. So that's Bon Clay. We'll see more of him when we get to him.
All we really need to know from this is that he went there to look for Mr. 3, has not found Mr. 3, and he's like, well, if I can't fail because then I'd have Mr. 1 and his partner try to kill me. So
yep.
we got to go back to Alabasta, but don't let a single vessel get by us, not even a rowboat, to just protect himself.
This is all you sort of need to know. Between Mr. 2 and Mr. 3, this whole organization is just a mess.
Oh yeah.
Just they're entirely
wildly varying personalities.
I love them all, but they are goofballs, which is an even stronger contrast to the last page of this chapter,
where we see Crocodile once again, and there's pirates running amok, and he's like, well, I gotta keep up appearances, and since we're the 7 warlords are a hero to the masses.
We'll get into this in the next chapter proper, but I love just like Mr. Zero is just in shadow all of the time.
Yes.
Right now. Like he looks threatening.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you can tell
he's going to be a problem.
Compared to a lot of the goofball villains we've had so far, kind of like running up the chain and, doing wap all off to the side is like, all right, the time for fun is over. Like, it's time to get serious.
Mm-hmm. It definitely feels that way.
Yeah. Well, maybe not exactly time, but we're moving in that direction.
So, chapter 155, Sir Crocodile the Pirate, and Django is leaving on the boat, and he's just like
kind of going neater
to fool buddy.
Yeah, he got away.
Speaking of our silly villains of the past.
Yeah, really.
I am so curious where that's going to end up. But
I have no idea where this is going.
Yeah, I got nothing. But yeah, we actually see more of Alabasta in this port town of Nanohana.
Yeah, on Sandy Island.
These crazy looking pirates are taking over, I guess, these pig pirates.
Yeah, man. But between these guys and the Tulip guys and the cover story, just the most random kind of, nobody pirate groups that Oda comes up with.
I know. It's like, where's just some weird gimmicks we can come up with?
Yeah.
It also strikes me as so funny. It's like everybody's so happy. The people are so happy to see Crocodile.
Yeah, it's just an interesting bit of world building.
And the way he greets them is, silence, you ignorant peasants. I've only come for the heads of those pirates. And they're just like, my hero, he always says that when he comes to save us. Hooray. Okay. It's very much Kill la Kill. It's like you pigs in sheep's clothing.
Oh yeah, with Satsuki. Yeah, it's a very similar kind of vibe. I definitely I had kind of, this was another aspect I had forgotten, it's like we say that like 5 times in every podcast.
I know.
Like the ways in which we are seeing how ingrained Crocodile is to like the culture of Alabasta is, I think, really, really cool, and really sort of sells his just like sleazy gang boss demeanor. I
mean, in this full page spread, we have the guardian deity of Alabasta, the king of the desert. Like, seriously, they revere him, which is kind of where you kind of see the beginnings of his plan.
Yeah,
in a way for this, and I'm excited to get to more of that. But of course, it's also time for the actual full reveal of what Crocodile looks like.
Yeah,
a scar across the face, a classic Captain Hook hand, and that giant ass coat.
Yeah, just that jacket. Still maybe one of the best villain designs in the series.
Just screams class, but also classic pirate.
Yeah. I think Crocodile might actually still be one of my favorite villains in the whole
He
series.
might be directly inspired by Captain Hook. I don't know
I
that
think
for
so.
sure,
Yeah,
but it feels like
I could
it.
believe that. Yeah, you just want to look at this guy. You know what he's all about.
And just the way he takes out these pirates, he just
Yeah.
leaps down. They all stab him and just shrugs it off, which immediately is like, oh god, what is up with that?
I love the bottom half of this page where you get that close up of Crocodile after he's stabbed, and then just all of just
A sandstorm.
you don't even know what's going on. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like a sandstorm just whips up around all the pirates.
yeah.
And all he just says is, I'm a different breed of pirate. Swine.
He's just built different.
Yeah, he
He's
really
literally
is.
built different.
And to see that aftermath, we had seen long ago how he sucked up all the water and took out, like, just drained everything of that cup. And then we see that pirate. Like, I don't remember this from the anime at all. You see him drained, like, just sucked dry. He is dead.
Yeah.
And the people cheer, and he just takes the loot and leaves.
Definitely not the first one that we've seen, but I love these, like, pre-devil fruit reveal. You don't quite know what is going on, but it's still just, like, impressive enough to it sells the scale.
I think there's
really
might
well.
be enough here you have an idea of what it's all
Yeah,
about. I'm not going to say it
definitely.
yet, but
Yeah. I was wondering if I should say or not, but there's
I'm gonna say not
more of a
yet.
hint than usual.
Yeah. But that's when we actually go to Alubarna Palace, where Cobra, Vivi's father, is like, yeah, we were too late. He beat us to it again and saved the citizens. And
Yeah,
it's like,
I love that when Crocodile first shows up, they call him the king of the desert, and here we have the actual king.
Right.
He's just kind of like, oops.
And I just like this little pause. We are indebted to him. Just keeping up those appearances.
Yeah, I'm definitely loving these little peaks that we're seeing. There's definitely kind of like a Middle East India vibe to the bits of Alabasta we've been seeing.
Yeah,
kind of very Egyptian.
Very Egyptian, yes.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to actually get to and explore Alabasta because it definitely feels like a bigger country than we've seen up until this point.
This is a big arc. We're in it.
Oh yeah,
so
we're going to be
hyped.
here for a while.
This is so hype. Oh my god.
And, of course, back to the Straw Hats, where Sanji has discovered that there is not enough food to get to Alabasta. It disappeared in one night. And he's discovered that Luffy did it.
Yep.
Kicks him
Luffy
away,
can't
starts
lie.
beating the crap out of him now.
He's so bad at lying.
He is so bad at lying.
I love the reveal that everybody's guilty.
Yes.
Karoo, Usopp, Chopper.
Chopper. All guilty. Is like, let's do some fishing to help him out. And then we see Nami had bonked them all too.
Yes. I sort of love the idea that Sanji has to convince Nami that they need to spend money. It's like, I need a refrigerator with a lock.
Yeah, it's like she is considering it.
She's the mom of the crew.
I also love that, like, welcome to the group, Chopper. You get conked out as well.
Yes.
But now it's time to finally learn more about the Seven Warlords and how all the stuff that we're coming up to works. We already know that they're in the pay of the world government. They chase off pirates for treasure. They don't care that they take the treasures because the threat is eliminated.
Yep.
And nobody suspects that he really does want to take over Alabasta, as we could just so obviously see.
Yep.
And Luffy's just kind of confident. It's like, oh, I just have to kick his butt.
Whatever, yeah. It definitely, again, we sort of saw that earlier with the pirate was like, you're just a government dog who sold his soul and a sword or whatever.
There's not really respect there, but he has the power to back it up, which is why he's...
Might makes right.
Yep. They're starting to learn... They're just basically, I guess, recapping Baroque works for people who may have just started with this arc.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a good idea to sort of... we literally have like a chart.
Yeah, it's like, look at this cool reindeer man we're getting into, and like, oh wait, there's another plot. What's going on here? And this is your recap of what's going on here. Yeah. And Vivi does break it down. We have all of these agents from Mr. 5 and up are called officer agents. Most of them have devil fruit powers, and to handle the most important missions under them are 200 billions, which are the officer agents' underlings, and then the frontier agents that are the ones that ransack those that come into the Grand Line, as we saw with Mr. 8 and Miss Wednesday, Mr. Nine, and all of them. And they command the 1800 millions, which are the frontier agents' underlings, and then the unluckies who are in charge of executions and communications. And I like how we actually have all the names for these characters we've not seen yet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how he organizes what's what. Like, how is Thursday better than Saturday, or Tuesday better than Thursday, or Wednesday better than Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we get holidays as we get like further and further up. Then again, I don't know what All Sunday and Double Finger. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I don't know what Miss Doublefinger, like, what is Doublefinger? I don't know. Or All Sunday. I know Merry Christmas. I know Valentine.
Yeah. Golden Week is a string of holidays. So you would think that would be the highest.
You'd think, but I don't know. I think Bon Clay is also a holiday. Because, again, with Mr. Two.
Oh, right. So that's why they call him Mr. Two Bon Clay, because he's both.
Yeah, he has no female
partner. Female partner. He doesn't want one.
Yep. So that's why.
I respect it.
Yep, that's how that's all handled.
Good guy, Mr. Zero Crocodile. You know, he's making exceptions for his overly complicated organization.
So yeah, that's when they realize. So that's how it's all organized. Obviously, Luffy doesn't fully understand, but he's just like, okay, I just have to kick this guy's butt.
Yeah, of course.
So they realize that the remaining officer agents will be coming together. And that's when we get this shadow of all the remaining officer agents. And we know some of them. We know Bon Clay, who's, man, a lot taller than I remember.
Yeah, he's taller than Crocodile.
Yeah. We only know of, actually, I should say, 3 of these 6 officer agents, 7 officer agents.
As we see All Sunday, we see Crocodile, and we see Bon Clay, and then there's 3 others who we haven't met yet.
One of these is Mr. 1. One of these, I believe, is Mr. 4.
You're right, like process of elimination.
Yeah, and then we have Miss Merry Christmas and Miss Doublefinger. So, and that's where we leave off. That's our setup for Alabasta.
That is such a good chapter to leave off on. Or just, that last page just has me so hyped for what's to come.
So I do apologize that I had to take that week off, but we're going to be getting into Alabasta proper next time. But there's our setup. There's our little prologue for it. As we wrap up this, we got these little details sprinkled in with this Ace character searching for Blackbeard, and how this whole Will of D thing is, and Gold Roger's
the
real
Gold
name,
Roger reveal,
the introduction of Crocodile properly. We're into it.
This is I think if I had to say off the top of my head right now, I think Alabasta is probably a top 5 One Piece arc for me. It's definitely up. It feels important in the same way that Arlong felt important. Yeah. I was going to say Arlong is definitely where you started to see a lot of the pieces start to come together, right? I think Alabasta is sort of where maybe the archetypal One Piece arc really, like, I think most arcs after this are kind of just, I think they have a lot of Alabasta's DNA in them. So I think this is a lot of where we start to see some of, like, the more maybe recurring tropes of maybe sort of your typical One Piece arc. I think Alabasta is kind of the formula makes it sound like a bad thing. But I think a lot of what One Piece is modeled after Alabasta.
There's a lot of room to play with formula, so I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I guess if I had to put it any other way, you kind of know what you come to expect after a while. After so many arcs, you kind of get just the way that these massive sprawling story arcs are really put together. And so I'm excited to see basically the first version of that, and I think the first version of that is still very good. I'm excited to get to it. I remember some of it, but I don't remember. Definitely don't remember all of it. I definitely don't remember all of it.
And I've never seen the manga version, so it'd be fun to experience. But I believe
we're into it.
Yeah. With that, we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 151 to 155 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you?
I'm on Twitter at Brandon Bovia. Just anime, manga, games on my job. That's all I tweet about. Nothing super crazy going on the work side that's like coming out anytime soon. Yeah, no, I guess I had a chapter of Dragon Ball come out. I think we're about done with.
Speaking
the
of ending
current
arcs,
story arc. Yeah. Speaking of ending arcs, I can't. I don't know for sure, so I don't want to speak definitively on that. But I think we're close to finishing an arc in Dragon Ball, which would actually be completely unrelated. But I think it is my first completed story arc.
Oh,
that because I came in working on Super like halfway through the Moro saga.
Oh, okay.
So this would be the first one that is like beginning to end Albi.
That's awesome.
Means nothing to most people, but is a cool thing that I can claim that I did.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. So yeah, definitely check those out. Check out more of Brandon. Always a good time. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 156 to 160 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
Tell me something, Dalton. Have you ever heard of the man Gold D. Roger?
Gold D? Do you mean Gold Roger?
I guess. Is that what he goes by now? From the looks of this, the guy Chopper left this island and headed out to sea with is no ordinary pirate. The spirit of D. It still lives. What do you know?